Welcome to Real Mob Stories with James Proctor. Today I'm bringing on a guest who is an associate of the Genovese Family Springfield Faction. And I brought him on because we're going to analyze a jailhouse recording with the Geas brothers, Ty and Freddy, that was sent to me by an anonymous source last week. The lady who sent it to me is familiar with the case and somehow got her hands on this recording, and I found the recording interesting, and think you will too. I released a short video with the recording a few days ago, but wanted to share more information regarding the context of the jailhouse conversation. Please like and subscribe to Real Mob Stories with James Proctor for more content covering the American Mafia. Without further delay, on to our feature presentation. Hello everyone, welcome to Real Mob Stories with James Proctor. I'm here with a special guest, Chicky Cecchetelli. How are you doing today?
Good, James. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's kind of interesting. Last week, I was sent a jailhouse conversation with the Geas brothers and Freddy and Ty. And so, I know that you knew most of these people that were involved in what was going on. We know that, the dominoes, he started to fall with the Bruno rubout. And then we also know that there was a guy named Gary Westerman that was taken out. And, what I believe happened, you had Ty that was out and Freddie was actually in jail at the time, correct, when this recording was made?
Yes, James, you're 100% correct. And I had heard that recording like a year ago or maybe 8-9 months ago, because they did a big show on it with the federal prosecutor who prosecuted the case, who did a podcast. It was a pretty big podcast, and that tape was revealed by the FBI. So I heard this about 8-9 months ago, and I said, wow, that's really intriguing, but I didn't pay no mind to it. But yeah, it was definitely a tape that was out there. And then, like I said, I didn't know you had got it. And then you reached out to me and said, what do you think about it? And I said, yeah, I heard that before. And, you can go anywhere you want to go with this,
My contact lens, I end up carrying one of them, so I'm having to wear my glasses today. So it's probably a little unusual. Usually I don't wear my glasses.
As me as well.
Yeah. So, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and play the recording and then talk about it. Also have an interesting article out of Mass Live that actually kind of talks about the recording and everything. And so just wanted to go ahead and we'll play the recording now and then kind of go from there.
Wow, there's so much shit going on over here, and I don't know what's true and what isn't, man.
What's going on over there now?
There's all kinds of digging going on around this city and looking for something, and someone told me they suspect Ant was involved. They dug one hole, it said in the newspaper, and they have the bones or remains, and forensic analysis is being done.
Yeah.
And Anthony Arillota, they keep on saying that he was asking the FBI if he was on site helping them look for things or something.
They were asking?
No comment. Yeah. The news media kept on asking the FBI. The FBI would say no comment. No comment. So I don't know what the is going on.
Yeah.
I'm just staying off the phone now. I mean, I didn't even get in this conversation with you.
Yeah.
So that's where things are now. So as it looks now, I mean, my days are short,
Yeah.
So I'm just enjoying the family.
Yeah.
I'm not going to act like a animal crybaby.
What did you think when you heard that the first time a year ago?
Like I said, I heard it like between 8 months and a year ago. And see, I know Freddy personally, and I know Ty personally. And of course, I grew up with Anthony Arillota since we were 7-8 years old. So I knew the characters in this specific, the story, And you can vary, I knew Ty and Freddy good. Now, keep in mind, we didn't meet Ty and Freddy until we were a little bit like late teenagers in life, early 20s. That's when we met them. I used to work with Freddy, so I met Freddy before anybody, okay?
Okay.
And Ty used to come to my apartment. I had an apartment with a bunch of guys. Ty would come over and have drinks, and we'd laugh. So I met Freddy and Ty before anybody, you understand? And then Ty went to jail. He was in Massachusetts State Prison with Anthony Arillota, and that's how they met. You understand? I think they might even have been bunk mates. And Anthony was a torture artist just like Ty, so Anthony knew how to torture Ty. Like Ty was a clean freak. He would take like 3 showers a day in jail and make sure everything was clean. And Anthony would touch his face, like torture him. And Ty would go crazy, but you know, he got close with Anthony. And then Freddy met Anthony Arillota in the visiting room because he would come visit his brother. And of course, Anthony would be visiting his family and Ty would be out there and they would meet each other. That's how they met. So prior to Anthony meeting Ty and Freddy, I knew them. You know, not that it means anything, but I knew them prior to that. So yeah. I used to hear, oh, they're going up to visit and Freddy likes Anthony and all this stuff. So that's how they met. They met through jail. Like I said, Anthony was in Massachusetts State Prison with Ty, serious prison, stone cold guys in the prison. I believe Anthony was in Gardner and he started in Concord because I used to go back in the day, probably, I want to say like maybe 92, 93. I used to go visit Anthony Arillota in the prison. I believe I went and seen him in Concord, and then I actually picked him up in Gardner. Gardner prison was a state prison in Massachusetts, and I picked him up to bring him home. So when I heard this recording like 8 months, a year ago, I knew Freddy and Ty, so I knew their voice. And the way, and it's only me saying it, maybe I'm wrong, but a lot of people agree with me. But when Ty explains to Freddy that what's going on, there's diggings going on in our city and all this stuff, and they suspect Anthony is there, I just think, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, I'm just giving my opinion only, but you could tell by Freddy's voice and Ty's voice that they knew their days were numbered. Ty even said it. He goes, listen, I'm just enjoying the family. My days are numbered. And, you know, I'm not going to be a crybaby. You know, that's how Ty was. So, you know, like I said, if you're asking me, that's the direction I took, you know. And from when I first heard it, like 8 months, a year ago, that's what I thought. I said, oh, you know, they knew they were done. They knew they were done when they got these reports on the, whatever Ty said, whether in the media or whatever. I knew they were done, you know. Yeah. I think they knew they were done, you know. And like I said it before, Ty said straight out, my days are numbered. So that's pretty much telling his brother, I'm just going to enjoy the family and whatever comes, comes. And eventually it did come. So it is what it is, you know. That's pretty much what I know,
What happened in so this recording, by the way, is in 2010. I've got an article I'm going to pull up, but while I do that, what were you doing with the family at that time?
Well, it wasn't so much like, you know, I know you say the family and people say I was an associate, but I was around my whole life. I was with Anthony Arillota since we were 7, 8 years old. We used to play like little league, soccer, baseball. My father was the coach, and we would go over to Anthony and pick him up. And Anthony was with me all the time, you know. And so I kind of knew all these guys, you know what I mean? I was around them my whole life.
What's interesting is that I actually have an article from 2011 that kind of talks about what was going on with the search and everything. And so this was in the Mass Live, and it was Stephanie Barry was the reporter, but you know, the article was from the trial, and this was in March of 2011. It says Al Bruno murder trial witnesses shed light on the last moments of chronic convict Gary Westerman's life. So, you know, during that recording that we just listened to, I'm getting from this article is that they were actually looking for Gary Westerman, and they were looking at a place outside of Agawam, Massachusetts. And so what the article says is that Gary Westerman showed up to a tiny house in Agawam, Massachusetts in the dark on November 4th of 2003 with a stun gun and a ski mask, expecting to rob the homeowners of pot and cash with frequent partners in crime. Instead, Westerman's remains, along with his non-lethal weapon and the mask, were discovered nearly 7 years later on the grounds of that house by a team of FBI agents and state police. And then, according to testimony in an ongoing mob murder trial in a federal court in New York, and then it said the medical examiner on Wednesday testified Westerman had a bullet hole in the center of his skull, a bullet lodged in his jaw, and a gunshot wound to his upper right arm, in addition to blunt trauma to his cheekbones, nose, and eyes. And so, do you know who Gary Westerman was?
Yeah, I knew him. I knew him. I did business with him. Back in the day, I used to sell, one of my hustles was knockoff handbags, like the knockoff Louis Vuittons, the knockoff Burberrys. You know, that it was a big business back in the day. Now they can go on internet, so it's not a big business. But when I was involved back in from 2004 all the way up to like 2008, 9, I made a lot of money with the knockoff handbags and all the knockoff bags and the knockoff Marc Jacobs and, everything designer. We used to get the connection. I used to go down to New York, to Flushing, Queens, and meet a Chinese guy every week. And I would spend like $2,000-3,000 a week, but I was making really, really good money. I was getting all the knockoff David Yurman jewelry, Tiffany and Company, the silver, all the silver stuff from Tiffany and Company. So I was making big money. At one point, I was making $50,000 a month. Now, I'm not saying, but that was on doing parties, and I was all over the place. So, so the bottom line is, I knew Gary Westerman because Gary Westerman was in that business too. And one time he tried to sell me like $25,000 worth of pocketbooks he had. He had a bar down in Springfield in Worthington Street. And it was it was like 2 bars over from Victor Bruno. Adolfo Bruno's kid had a restaurant. It was called Caffeines. And he had a bar like 2 or 3 bars down because they owned the whole block. Adolfo Bruno and his son owned the whole block on Worthington Street. So Gary had a bar there, and he called me into the bar one time, and he had like I looked at it, he had like 10,000 worth of purses. He wanted more money, and we couldn't make a deal. I said, Gary, I don't want that. It's not for me. It's not the right. It was like cheap quality, and I only bought the best quality, to sell because I knew what I could do. And so I had run-ins with him here and there, making deals and different things. But other than that, but you got to understand something, James. Gary Westerman married Anthony Arilota's sister-in-law, Sandra, who was a sweetheart of a girl. She was young. She didn't know any better. Gary kind of was like a miscreant, a drug dealer, and he got her hooked on drugs. So it was a bad look as far as Anthony being her brother-in-law and married to her sister. And it was just a bad look. So Gary was destined to fail when he started that craziness, in my opinion.
Yeah. And one of the things that it says, too, is that the testimony shed new light on the grisly final moments for Westerman, a drug dealer, tractor trailer truck thief, and low-level organized crime associate who previously had seemed to disappear without a trace. And then what it's saying is that they were digging for the remains in a wooded area at 160 Springfield Street in Agawam, and that actually Anthony Arillota led them there in 2010. And this is from an FBI agent. So did you know what the house was? 160
Well,
Springfield Street?
I knew the owner of the house. He was a good guy. His name was Joe Lamo. The father was nothing but a gentleman of a guy. I knew him good. I used to give him, I didn't even charge him. I used to give him pocketbooks for his wife. His wife lived down in Rhode Island on the beach. And I don't know if they were separate or whatever, but he also pulled me over, Chicky, you got anything for my wife? And I would give him pocketbooks. So I knew the guy who owned the residence. And he was very close to Anthony Arillota and the Geases. And he had a house up in a location where there was a lot of woods and it was up a hill. Once you got, off Springfield Street in Agawam, you go up a hill. I mean, you could have done anything up there. Nobody would ever discovered it, So I knew
Right.
the guy that they owned the property. He was a real gentleman. He was a nice guy. And
Yeah.
yeah, Anthony was close to him. I was close to him. We used to go have cigars with him and, you know, drink coffee during the day in West Springfield. There used to be a coffee bar, and we go over there and have coffee and smoke. And the guy was a good guy, Joe Lama. And yeah, so I knew the guy that owned the property, and yeah. So whatever they were doing, I don't know because I wasn't part of that.
Right.
So I can't tell you what they were doing, but they definitely had a stash house up there. And this is not me saying it. Anthony Arillota said this on many podcasts. So they had a stash house, and they would keep their stuff up there. And the guy was really a good guy. And this is, I guess, you know, this is the address where everything happened. You know, from what
yeah, that's what it's saying. And then what it was saying is that standing trial are two of Westerman's accused killers, his one-time friends, Freddy Geas of West Springfield, Massachusetts, and younger brother, Ty Geas of Westfield. And so during the recording, obviously, Freddy was already picked up, and then Ty was out. What they're saying happened, according to the Massachusetts Live, is that the brothers allegedly shot Westerman several times and dumped him into a makeshift grave on the property after luring him to the house under the guise of a potential score. And then, so they, along with reputed New York mob captain Artie Nigro, also are charged with the 2003 murder of Big Al Bruno and a string of other offenses. And so they're saying that Nigro wasn't accused in connection with this Westerman slaying. And then it just kind of goes on and said that the GEAS brothers denied involvement, that Arillota gave them up. He actually testified against them. Arillota, who told juries he and fellow gangster Emilio Fusco, an Italian-born Genovese crime family associate from Long Meadow, Massachusetts, aided in the slaughter by bludgeoning him with shovels after the GEAS shot him several times. And then they said that that guy actually fled to Italy, but then got arrested. According to this, they thought that Westerman was a police informant, and I believe that was actually confirmed that he was an informant.
That's correct. And let me just back up a little and fill in some blanks. Artie Nigro knew nothing about the Westerman murder. I remember in the day hearing that he even reached out to Arillota and said, "What happened to your brother-in-law?" And of course, they said he took off with another woman to Florida. They didn't say we did it, you know, because it was unsanctioned. You understand?
Right.
And so he was murdered, and then literally like 3 months later, they did allegedly the sanction hit of Al Bruno. You understand? But Westerman wasn't an authorized hit. They did that on their own. And they, from what I understand, James, they had like 3 or 4 people on the list that I think one of the people on the list was authorized, but there was a few other people on the list that, you know, New York really never knew, but they were going to take out because they were from Springfield, and that's the way it was. You know, they wanted to take these guys out. So pretty much they took out who they wanted to. It wasn't like a matter of, oh, let's get permission. They got permission on some guys, but other guys, they didn't care. They said, we're going to take them out. And there were some threats. There were some like shootings at the people's houses. I mean, I remember going by with a kid. I'm not going to mention names, but I was somebody said, let's drive by this guy's house. I ain't going to mention his name. And we went by his house. I'll never forget it. And all the windows were shot out in this kid's house in Forest Park. It's a section of Springfield, but all the windows were shot out. And there was glass companies putting in new windows in all their house. So for a while, there was like a real back and forth on the street. Somebody shoots your house. They shot your house. It was crazy. But
so what was going on there? What was causing all of these? One, the list of people, you know, that was going to get hit, and then what was causing all the violence there? Because this was in the 2003 time period, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, no, it went like from 2003, 4 all the way up to 2009. But there was a lot of rumbling in the area. They thought people were informants. You know, they were shooting up. You know, it was crazy. It was like the Wild Wild West for a while. And I mean, not that I was involved in anything, but I was around for everything. I seen everything. I heard everything. I went by houses, seen the windows shot up. It was crazy. It was a wild, wild west in our area. And then, like I said, after Bruno got murdered, the heat was on. It was crazy. I told the story on a couple podcasts. I did bigger podcasts that in 2005, you know, we heard recordings from the FBI, and they actually had recordings of, you know, a lot of stuff. It was crazy. It was just a crazy time. And then I think, like, I might be mistaken. You don't quote me. But in 2000, late 9 or 10, they were all picked up. Anthony, Freddy was already in prison, and Ty, they all got picked up for the murder of Bruno. And there was a lot of cooperatives. The kid who shot Bruno, Frankie Roach, was the first one who opened up. And then there was John Bologna, the guy from New York that was already Nigro's guy, who was he was a rat for like 20 years. And everybody warned everybody in Springfield about the guy, but for some reason, you know, whatever. They believed it, but they really couldn't do nothing because he was close to the boss in the Bronx, Artie. And it came out later he was a rat. So basically, everybody ratted. I mean, cooperated. I'm sorry, cooperated. So it was a mess. It was a mess. And I used to have an Italian pizza shop, restaurant in the south end of Springfield for like a couple of years, me and my sister. And Anthony Arillota and John Bologna, who was from New York, he was Artie Nigro's guy, used to come to my restaurant every weekend and eat. And we would bust chops, and I'd sit in the back with them. They had a back room where I would set up a table, and they would eat lunch. He'd come from New York with all his guys, and I'd set them all up. It was me, Anthony Arillota, and John Bologna sitting in the back eating. And yeah, so John Bologna was up every weekend for many, many weeks. And he would sleep at Anthony Arilota's house, or he would get a hotel. And at night, we go to the strip joints. And meanwhile, you know, from what I understand now, I didn't know then, they were extorting the strip joints and the legitimate businesses. So it was crazy. It got crazy for a little while. It got crazy for, you know, a few years. And the heat was everywhere. Believe me when I tell you, the heat was everywhere. There was times I was in Anthony Arilota's truck and we were discussing our case, because me and Anthony and Al Bruno got picked up, I think in 2004 or 5 for a big bookmaking case. Okay. This is all out there. You can Google it. It's all out there. And I was in the car with Anthony Arillota after we got arrested, and I told the story before, and everybody, you know, it was funny. But the thing is, one of the reporters, Stephanie Berry, who you mentioned, did the report on us. And it was funny, you know, I'm not going to get into the whole story, but it was funny because when we got arrested, me and Anthony Arillota, we were on the front page of the paper, and it was me, and I'm a big guy, you know, it is what it is. And me and Anthony were on the front page of the paper, and they put a big headline, Fat Chicky picked up in $1 million bookmaking, and all this craziness, you know?
Oh, man.
And so the next day, James, you're going to laugh. The next day, I went to Anthony Arilota's house early in the morning just to discuss the case.
Yeah.
You know, who do you think ratted? Why are we in trouble? Blah, 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 blah. So we're sitting in Anthony Arilota's truck at the time. He had a black Expedition. And we didn't know. He didn't know, and I didn't know. This is before everything happened. And the truck was wired by the FBI. Okay. And so I sit in the truck with him, and he goes, "Did you see the front page of the paper today?" And I said, "No, I didn't." And he says, "You didn't see it?" I go, "No, why? What happened?" So he shows me the front page of the paper, and it's me, you know, and I'm in a black and green Celtic sweatsuit velour, because it's like winter when we got picked up. And he's laughing. So I go, "What are you laughing at? What's so funny?" And he goes, "Did you see what they put about you?" And I go, "No." So he shows me the paper, and it says, "Fat Chicky," what I said before, $1 million, all this stuff. Yeah. So now you would think I'm more worried about our case. But now I flip the script, and I go, there's the girl, Stephanie Berry, who I got to know later. She's a nice woman.
Yeah.
She I don't know if she made me Fat Chicky on the paper, or the FBI did.
All right.
I start abusing her in the truck to Anthony. I go, "This dirty, filthy animal," and I'm saying things I don't even want to say because it ain't for your show. Okay. And so he's laughing hysterical because he knows I'm more pissed about that than the case.
Yeah.
And we're laughing. So we catch our composure. We're laughing. You know, it's funny.
Mhm.
So fast forward to like 5 years later, and I run into this Stephanie Berry, the reporter at some restaurant. And she goes,
Yeah.
Chicky, I got to talk to you. And I go, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, no, I got to talk to you. I go, what? She goes, you know, and I had no idea, and neither did Anthony. But I says, she goes, you know, the FBI called me that day and let me hear your recording. So I go, what recording? She said, you were in the truck with Anthony Arillota, and when you read that thing, Anthony read Fat Chicky, what I called you, you attacked me like a maniac. So now I'm embarrassed. So I'm like, oh my God, Stephanie, I'm sorry, you know, whatever. But I called her things that, listen, I couldn't even say on YouTube. It was so crazy.
Yeah.
But it was funny. So the FBI called her and said, Stephanie, you got to listen to this recording. And they played it for her. And she said her and the FBI on the phone were hysterical laughing the stuff I was calling her. You understand?
Oh, my. Yeah.
I was like, you know, it would have been good if it was like tough guy Chicky or Chicky this or Chicky that. But fat Chicky. And it was funny then. Now I laugh because it's funny. But, you know, you can't make this stuff, James, you can't make this stuff up. This is legitimate. You can't make this up. I could never fathom to make these stories up. It's funny. So, so we were around it our whole life, you know. And Freddy worked with me when we were working in legitimate jobs. Freddy worked with me. Ty was a little bit of a you know, like he was a little bit crazy. Freddy was more smarter. Ty was more like a lunatic, you know, like Ty. You could try to explain to Ty, listen, Ty, that ain't what you think it's happening. But his mind would say, no, that's what's happening. And he would act on it, you know?
Right.
Freddy was the smarter one. He's more of the voice of reason. Okay, this happened, that happened. He was more smarter. But we had a lot of laughs.
Even on the tape, you could hear that because, you know, Ty was the one that was saying all this stuff, and he didn't even seem to be upset talking about Freddy. He was just going, okay.
But if you know Freddy's voice, like I know Freddy's voice, when Ty let him know that, listen, this recording's going on, they said Anthony's, you know, you heard I'm not going to get into it. You heard the recording and your viewers heard the recording. I know Freddy. Maybe people don't know Freddy like I did, but you could tell by his voice, he knew they were screwed. Like, in other words, Freddy knew he was screwed, and Ty says it right in his interview. I mean, I'm sorry, not interview. He says it on the tape. My days are numbered. My days are numbered. I'm just enjoying the family. And that was how Ty was. He said, I'm not going to be no crybaby bitch. He said it on the interview. He said it, whatever it is, I'm just enjoying the family, and my days are numbered. So at that point, I believe, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion on the street, they knew they were done. But you know, that's neither here or there. I'm just giving my opinion.
Yeah, I was going to tell you that so what they're saying about this guy, Westerman, we know that, so Westerman was, like you said, Arilotta's brother-in-law, and apparently the family was upset because Westerman was 30 years older, and so that upset the family. And then what it's saying here is that the Massachusetts State Police said that Westerman actually became an informant in 1996. So by that time, he had been an informant for 7 years. Apparently in 96, there was a pending case with Freddy, and he wanted to trade information for a shorter sentence. But then he I guess that cooperation agreement got violated because he had passed bad checks. And so he had went back to prison for 5 years. And so I guess in 2003, the guy Westerman approached the police again about being an informant. So what happened was, it sounded like in 96, he was an informant for about a year. Then he violates it by passing bad checks, goes to prison for 5 years, gets out in 2003, and then he's an informant again. And then apparently somehow folks, I guess Arillota and them, realized that he was an informant. How did they know that Westerman was an informant?
To be honest with you, I have no idea. No, I don't know if it was a guess. I think they had insider information. I didn't know about it. But I know for sure from what I hear on the street, they tried to kill Westerman a time before, coming out of a strip joint, and he was with Freddy, and it was all set up. They were going to kill him then, and something happened where they pulled up, and there was too many people, so they had to call it off. So they knew for quite a while that he was an informant, and it turned out at the end he was definitely an informant. And so they tried one time, or I don't want to say twice, but definitely one time I knew about, and it didn't happen. But then this time, and then you know what's crazy about that story up on the hill in Agawam was that they shot it was Freddy. I believe it was Freddy or Ty. I'm not sure which one, but one of them shot him in the head. Okay, and this is public knowledge. I'm not giving secrets. This is public knowledge.
Right.
One of the guys shot him in the head, and he didn't die. He ran. Westerman, after getting shot in the head. Maybe it was a low caliber bullet. I'm not exactly sure why, but he ran, from what I'm understanding, he ran into the hole that they dug for him. So by mistake, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just telling you what I was told.
No, that's what it's saying here, is that Arillota led them to the Agawam property last April. So that was April of 2010. After he decided to turn informant, he pointed out where Westerman had collapsed in the general area at the mouth of the woods, where they dragged him to a 8-foot deep hole. Arillota said he and Geas had carved out months before for another intended victim. So apparently, so I guess he ran and fell into that hole that had been dug. And what it sounded like is that they actually had intended that hole originally to be another victim.
One thing I could tell you, James, and I know, but I'm not going to mention names or whatever.
Yeah.
From the streets, and I'm still in the streets in Springfield. I'm right in the south end of Italy right now. From what I understand, there was like 2 or 3 victims that were going to get it. 100%. I think 1 or 2 of them, I'm not sure, was authorized from New York, but there was guys going to get it. So because this happened with Gary Westerman, and all the heat came, and everybody got arrested, there's like, I'm going to say minimum between 1 and 3 people right now walking around Springfield that should really bless their lucky stars, you know, from what I understand. But that's neither here nor there. That's my opinion, you know.
Yeah. So no, that makes sense, because you know, it sounded like there was quite a few people that were on that list, and then. So that property, so when they talk about the property, what it sounds like is that, you know, it actually was a wooded property. It wasn't like a small house with a small yard. It actually had a lot of, I guess, wooded area, which was perfect for, you know, being able to dispose of a victim, you know?
100%. It was like, I mean, I only live right now. I got a condo right by Suffield, Connecticut, Agawam. And it's literally a mile from me. And I always go by, like, you know, whatever I'm doing, going shopping or whatever, and I look up, and it's the best area in the world. You know, you're on the main road, and then you go up a big hill, and you're in a big thing with all electrical towers, like electric company, big towers. But there was so much lumber and woods. It was listen, you couldn't ask for a better place. You know what I'm saying? So, I know the location. I've been there several times prior to the Westerman murder, because I knew the guy that owned it, or I don't know if he was renting or owned it. But so I knew the guy. He was a gentleman of a guy, Lamo, nice guy. And so I knew the property. I was friends with the guy, but it was a perfect location. You couldn't have got a perfect or more location, in my opinion.
Yeah. Right. And so this happened. So actually that recording took place. It was April of 2010. It was about the same time that he had, you know, flipped, and also the same time that he led him to the location. And so, you know, that was all I really wanted to share, but, you know, you really helped fill in the blanks a little bit. And so we know that Freddy ended up, so how's he doing? You know, allegedly, you know, he was, some people are saying he was involved in this, you know, the Whitey Bulger.
Yeah. So
is he actually in I was reading that he's in ADX
Colorado.
Florence.
He's in ADX, Colorado, the worst prison in the country, Supermax.
Why did they put him there for?
Well, I'll tell you. Well, I mean, obviously, let me explain from what I know. The only reason I know, James, and to be honest with you, my lawyers who defended me on all my cases was Dan Hagan and Dan Kelly. They're Freddy's lawyer. They're they tell me what's going on with Freddy, because I always see them, and they say, I talked to Freddy 2 days ago, and I'm like, Sam Freddy, my love, I hope he's doing good. And they're my lawyers, so they talk to him on a bi-weekly basis. Right. So he was in Hazelton, West Virginia.
Yep.
They had him in the hole since 2018 to like literally maybe a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And my lawyer was telling me they're trying to get him. Freddy wants to go to ADX, Colorado, because he knows it's super max, but he'll have more freedom than being in the hole in West Virginia. And I guess that's the way it played out. So they did what they had to do to get him there, and I guess he did what he did. Freddy did good behavior. He's not, I know that thing happened allegedly with Whitey Bulger, but he pleaded guilty to it. Freddy, they pleaded guilty to it. Him and another kid.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Now about 2 weeks ago, they pleaded guilty. So what are they really going to do to him? He's facing 2 death penalty cases. So, but basically, in my opinion, even charged with that Whitey Bulger thing, eventually Freddy's going to get tortured over at ADX Colorado. But when he does get out of ADX or at ADX, he's going to be treated like a king. You understand? That's the way it works in prison. So anybody that knows Freddy killed Whitey Bulger or was part of it, allegedly, they're going to treat him like a king. He's going to be a shot caller anywhere he goes. He's going to be able to say anything he wants, do anything he wants. So if you're facing life, I mean, this is only my opinion, I believe it was a good move. That's my feeling.
He was already convicted of life, right? So he was already
right.
Yeah.
And then
so
Freddy,
he had nothing to lose, really.
No, but Freddy was very close with a guy when he did state prison time. I believe the guy's name was Fred or Frank Whitechel. Okay, and he was a guy that did like a lot of time. I want to say over 20 years, because Whitey Bulger was an FBI informant, and he made up a bullshit story about this guy Whitechel killing somebody on the street that never happened. But the government believed Whitey Bulger because he was an informant, and the guy went to jail for a lot of time. So Freddy met up with this guy in jail, and the guy told him everything about Whitey Bulger, how he put him in jail. And Freddy was close to this guy. And, it is what it is. I mean, I don't know what happened with the Bureau of Prisons, but come on. The guys at Coleman, Whitey Bulger, he abuses some nurse and says, oh, if I knew you on the street, you would disappear. He says some stupid shit to the woman, and they move him right out of there. They get you right out of there. Why they brought him to they call it Misery Mountain, Hazelton, West Virginia. That's how dangerous it is. Why they brought him to a serious federal penitentiary, I have no idea. But, as we know now through the reports and the court, he didn't last more than, he went in at 10 o'clock at night and 8 in the morning, whatever happened. And I can remember I was in Wyatt in early 2020, and I was with a guy named Johnny DiColangero, who was a nice kid. He was just finished up a 20-year sentence. His brother was Paulie DiColangero, the guy who allegedly was with Freddy Geas when they killed Whitey. And I remember walking the yard at Wyatt. It's not really a yard. It's like you're underneath a big metal thing, and you walk like in a little basketball court. And he said to me, Chicky, he knew I knew Freddy. So he's like, what kind of guy is Freddy? Is he going to blame my brother? And I said, Johnny, the kid's solid as they come. Whatever happens, he ain't going to blame your brother. And so me and Johnny were together at Wyatt only for like a month, but Johnny was a good kid, but his brother was Paulie, the kid who was included. I didn't know the other kid, McKinney or whatever his name was. I didn't know that kid. I mean, I think he was just some, maybe I'm wrong. I don't want to say it, but he was like a lookout. He was like a jerk off. I don't know. I'm just guessing, but he wasn't really But the kid, Paulie DiCongero, was a serious kid out of outside Boston. And then, of course, Freddy was from Springfield, our area. So, of course, like they say in federal prison or any prison, water seeks its own level. So when you're around guys like you are, you kind of go towards that. You understand what I'm saying to you? You find each other. Yeah. The Massachusetts guys in federal prison hold a strong card. All the guys from South Boston, the bank robbers, the armored car guys, the alleged mob guys from the North End, they all stick together. Because I even saw it when I was in USP Canaan. All the guys from New England stuck together. I mean, they were together, but if anything happened, they had each other. They got a strong card in the federal prison sentence of New England guys, whether it's Providence, Springfield, Boston, in between. They got a strong card. So, yeah, so it is what it is. Like I said, it's what I know, yeah.
What about just two questions, and we'll close. So he's just basically another life bid, right, on that?
From what I understand, like, I want to say 6 months ago, maybe I'm off on the time a little, but my lawyer reached out to me and said, this is what he told me. He said the death penalty is off the table for Freddy. They're not seeking it. So I don't know what the reason is for that, but from 6 months ago, they were never seeking the death penalty on Freddy, okay, or Paulie. So I just think they wanted, in my opinion, and maybe I don't know much, but I just think Freddy and Paulie, they wanted to end it. Paulie, you know what's sad? The kid Paulie DiCongero, he only had like another year and a half to go on his sentence prior to this happening. So here's a kid that only had a year and he did 20 years. He had a year and a half to go to be out, legitimately out and start his life. And now, I mean, I don't know what his sentence is going to be, but he's facing a life sentence because of Whitey Bulger. He had literally a year and a half to go. So that's sad. That really is sad.
Yeah, but, that is. So is Freddy,
but
Freddy, what you're saying, but he already pled guilty, so he's just waiting on sentencing at this point, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, James, between me and you, he's not going to get the death penalty. My lawyer told me that was off the table 6-7 months ago. But what's he going to get, another life sentence? Who cares? He's already doing life. So, okay, we're going to add another life sentence. All right, do what you got to do. But, but he's going to suffer. He's in ADX, Colorado right now, my lawyer tells me. And, he's probably in some serious predicaments over there. Not nobody bothering him, but, the whole locked in all the time. But he's going to have to be there probably. I'm going to guess. I don't know. But maybe he's going to have to be there 5 to 8 years before he got a shot, even close to getting to another USP where he's got some freedom. So, but, me knowing Freddy, he'll do it. He has no problem. Yeah. He wrote letters to people I know, and I'm good friends with his family to this day, his cousin Nikki. And I'm friends with the family, his son, his daughter. So the bottom line is Freddy will do it. Freddy got no problem, And it is what it is. It's just a shame, but whatever.
What about Ty? What happened to him? Because he's the other brother.
Well, I don't understand. In the beginning of their federal prison sentence, Ty and Freddy were together. I don't know where they were. They were somewhere together, and they had a fight, from what I'm hearing. They had a fight where they tried to attack a guy in a Sally port. And, of course, the brothers were together. So, if nothing happened, they would have still been together. But when you start a fight like that, they split the brothers up, like, to show punishment. So Ty's in California. I'm not sure where Ty is right now, but he's definitely in California in a federal prison. And, of course, Freddy was in Hazelton, and now he's in ADX. So the brothers are probably, if I had to guess, they'd never see each other again. They won't, because they had a shot to be together, and then, whatever. It is what it is. Once they split you up, it's very hard to get back together.
Yeah. I just I just thought it was interesting, getting this recording, and then it's obvious that they knew about Arillota flipping, and they were worried, based on the tape. But you helped to fill in a lot of the blank spaces. You gave us insight on Gary Westerman and all that. So I think the viewers have a good.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, James.
No,
I'm sorry.
Fine.
But I just want to say I gave my point of view from the streets and from what I've seen. But maybe they, I don't know. Other people might have other opinions, but I'm pretty good with knowing things and hearing things. So I'm just giving you my point of view. And like I said, it is what it is. You can look anything up I said. It's all out there.
Right.
So,
No, I really appreciate Chicky. I know
no
you're
problem. I
you're
can
with your
help.
kids, and so I definitely appreciate you taking a little time away to talk
Oh,
to
100%.
us. And, yeah.
And I'm
So,
sorry we couldn't do it earlier. I was at the movie theater with my little grandson. He likes that
no,
Marvel movies and all that craziness. But like I said, listen, I'm just giving my opinion. Some people might say, "Oh, we don't care about your opinion." That's fine. But I'm pretty sharp. Like I said, I'm in the South End right now in Little Italy in Springfield, and I'm around every day. So I'm just telling you what my lawyer told me and what I heard from the streets, and I give you my opinion. If I'm off a little bit, I'm just telling you what I'm out here hearing.
No, I think it's great what you said, and you were close to a lot of these people that were just about all the people that were involved, and so I just thought it made sense to bring you on, and I just appreciate that you're willing to come on with us.
We're in a new direction now as far as me and a circle of friends. We're doing movies. We're trying to produce things. We're doing we're just trying to move on because, in my opinion, and maybe I don't know much, but it's over. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still a few people out there that I'm friends with, but as far as this area, I'm good. I got 5 grandchildren, 2 great daughters, and I'm good. Like I said, I'm just trying to be positive. And when I say positive, I really mean positive. Like, like I said in some other interviews, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but you don't have to wait till you're an informant to change. You don't have to wait till I'm facing 30, 40, 20 years to change. I'm blessed. So it is what it is. And we just move forward in a positive direction. And I wish the best for everybody. Whatever they're doing, it's none of my business. God bless them. And I hope they wish me the same. And that's all.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate it, and
Absolutely.
I'm sure glad that you're that you've been able to change your life. You're able to spend time with your grandkids. I know they're very important. Your family's important. So
100%.
I'm sure that you'll stay on that straight and narrow path.
Yeah. I'm trying, James. I'm doing good. Knock on wood. So it is what it is. Like I said, I wanted to come on and give my little, my opinion on things. Whether people believe or not, that's fine. But I'm here. I'm on the streets. I'm out every day. I hear things. My lawyer was, like I said, my lawyer's Freddy's lawyer. So it is what it is. But like I said, everybody's doing their own thing. I wish them the best, and I hope they wish me the best. And pretty much that's it.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Chicky. I appreciate the time, and we'll do this again soon.
And I want to say before you
Yeah.
disconnect, congratulations on the show, on your shorts, on moving
Thank you.
forward. As far as I'm concerned, you've always been a gentleman to me. And that's why I come on. And I just want to say congratulations on everything you're doing positive.
Oh, thank you, and congratulations on what you're doing too, and
Thank you so
with the
much.
movies and everything. And so
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
All right, James. Have a great day. Thank you. And I hope whoever listens to this likes it. And I appreciate them listening to me. And
All right.
that's pretty much it. Okay?
All right. Thank you so much. Then everyone
All right,
have a
you got
great day. Then. All right. God bless you.